Alright guys, I am Maynard, and I am joining SE2HL Comrades-in-Arms one more time, the Starcraft YouTube highlights channel, to bring you another commentary. Last time I joined you guys for Mia Micah vs. Myro, and this time I got some two EU monsters here to cast for you. In the bottom right here, the Polish Terran in the red from Team Makers. This is Soul. Of course, Team Makers, a pretty prestigious team with some huge names in it. Showtime, Countryman, Nurchio, Petit Drogo is in there as well. In the top left, the French Zerg in the blue from Infinity Gaming. This is Denver. Infinity Gaming's got some pretty huge players in it as well. Namshar, Clem, upcoming Protoss stud, Goblin, Future, of course, Cheesadelphia champ. But that's them, and this is a different game. We got ourselves a TVZ on King's Cove. Now, I don't think this is from any tournament. I had a look to see if this was from like a recent, like a Wardy TV tournament or a European Cup of some kind, online Cup of some kind, and came up with Bupkis. They haven't actually played until since the Go for SE2, like back in late March. So it's been a while. So I'm guessing this is probably just a ladder game uploaded recently that SE2HL have sent to me. Now, same as the Maru Mia Micah game, or I guess not similar to that, in that I don't actually know the result of this game. Whereas Maru Mia Micah, I knew the score because it was all over the presses, hot off the presses. Oh my god, Vietnamese Zerg slays the Demon Maru. This one, I don't know. It's a ladder game. I don't watch these replays ahead of schedule, just to let you guys know. Reactions are genuine. Cast is as pure and untainted as possible. How good the commentary is, of course, up to you guys. We got an early stages TVZ here with not a whole lot to talk about. Honestly, it's just a Reaper expand from Soul so far. Just a single gas at the moment, so it's just going to be that 20 factory, so it looks like it probably was a gas first. And Denver, well, that's just Hatch Gas Pool, guys. Not a whole lot to talk about there either. It's all pretty on the regs for both players. Be interested to see what kind of strategies they go for. I know Soul is one of those Terrans that uses a strategy that I quite enjoy in TVZ a little bit. At least that was in the past when it was all the rage and weapons refit was a little bit cheaper. There was a battlecruiser rush that sort of hit the ladder a little bit in TVZ, and some of the Korean Terrans, like I think it was Bunny. Bunny used it. GSL, pretty sick stuff. But Soul was also using it a fair bit, and I saw some games of him using it against Lambo, using it against other European Zergs. There's plenty of European Zergs out there. There's no shortage. And that was definitely something that he enjoyed for a while. But then, of course, weapons refit. That's the Yamato upgrade for the battlecruiser got nerfed, and it became a little bit less popular. I'm still doing it, though, because I like it. I like just going battlecruisers into mech. Got a 2.5-minute hatchery there from Denver. Very, very standard timings from both players. 1-1-1 lineup here, which, of course, Denver is fully aware of with that Overlord nicely positioned over everything. It's actually in a spot of bother if this Marine pops out. It's not really pulling back to safety, and it's going to start getting gunned down. So Soul's Reaper took a little bit of damage there from that Queen. She's nasty. She doesn't like anyone near her babies. So the Reaper took a little bit of a lick in there, but of course it can regenerate its hit points. Overlord looks like it has enough dead space over to the right here to maybe survive, although the Marine is putting on a lot of hurt on it. Losing this Overlord would really suck for Denver. As we can see, he's already supplied blocked on 44. Looks like it is just going to just escape, so good stuff. Armory goes down the back of the mineral line there for Soul. I can see why he's got those Marines out of the barracks before getting any add-ons on there, because he's delaying his starport add-ons potentially, no tech lab or anything like that, because he wanted those extra Marines out, because he wanted Denver to not see the fact that he's dropping the Armory. So we've got a Hellbat attack on the way here from the Polish Terran. Surprising amount of hit point damage there on that third hatchery. Queen's coming down. They're sick of their houses being messed with, man. They're coming down here to get rid of that Reaper, and of course, Reaper and Hellions are actually a surprisingly effective force in the early stages of the game for the Terran. The Reaper can KD-8 grenade those Queens out of the way so that the Hellions can slip on through into those drone lines. Ooh, we're going to get that creep trim as well. Anytime you can just make the Queens waste a little bit of energy is always going to be great. Of course, that's energy that could have been a creep trim, that could be a little bit more creep spread for Soul to contend with. And at this stage of the game, always good to do that kind of damage there. Speaking of the Zerg player over here, we actually see that it's going to rely on Banelings for the defense. Now, a lot of European Zergs actually prefer to go down the Roach path, as Roaches are really just a... there's a few Korean Zergs that love it. A lot of European Zergs really love those Roach defenses against something like this. But this is probably the first that Denver's seen of this. So he has the Overlord in the main base of Soul right now, but it saw the Armory... I mean, I don't even know if it sees the Armory, but you see these Hellbats, and that's going to be a tell that's good enough there. Now, Soul doesn't want to commit. He sees the Banelings, And he is going to just take it easy for now. Turns this one heli into a Hellbat there, giving it the bio tag, which means that the medevac can now heal it. Getting this Overlord would be quite nice. You see this attack is quite deadly. Bringing Marines along with Hellbats means you can pick off those Overlords as Sol just did just now. Supply blocking Denver, forcing him to make a few more Overlords than he perhaps would have wanted. Sol is also going for a Cloak Banshee follow-up. But Denver already has Spore Crawler coverage. We're seeing that it's one in the main is on the way. Third is already completed. Natural also with a Spore Crawler there. So he's got actually quite nice coverage. Ling counterattack from Denver into the mineral line here in the natural of Sol. Doesn't get a whole lot of damage there. Nice micro, by the way, getting that higher hit point Hellion to sit and protect his brother. And the third CC put here is front of the line there in the natural. The natural is completely walled in here. The benefit of putting your depots here instead of here, which is obviously a much easier wall off as it only takes 2 depots. This takes 5, but you wall off from every attack path. The Zerg can also attack from this path here. So it makes you a little bit more invulnerable to Zergling run-bys. Of course, you can always Baneling bust it. The supply depots are a bit squishy. We see some Lings being shift-clicked out here from Denver. Sol coming in for another attack. Oh, Banelings connect very nicely there. A couple of Hellions get evaporated, and that's a lot of Queens. There's 6 Queens with quite a bit of energy here. Push back this Terran, but there is a Cloak Banshee here. Spore Crawler also coming forward. And that Banshee in detection range. Lair is also done for Denver, so Overseers are also something you can get. Oh, losing some of these Banelings here. Lings are attacking this wall. Looks like Sol's going to pull these SCVs. Even the Mule's coming along for a ride here to repair these depots so that he can make sure those Lings don't get into his natural. As a Ling run by into his mineral line would be pretty devastating at this point in the game. The Hellions get inside the mineral line. They're surrounded by the Lings, and looks like they are going to deal with most of these Lings, if not all of them, but the Queens are going to win the battle in the end of the day. Now, Denver does lose a few drones there. And Sol likewise holds at the ramp. So as the dust settles and both players lick their wounds, let's have a look at the damage done. See that the Zerg is trading slightly worse. A lot of their gases in those Banelings there. All the gases in those Banelings there being lost. And a few Lings as well. So trades favoring the Terran slightly at the moment. But of course it has been a pretty expensive attack. And also likewise an expensive defense for the Zerg. Ling's going for the counterattack again. Ooh, just got that depot up in time. Gotta close that door. Sol wasn't brought up in a tent, as your mother used to say. Make sure you close that front door. Or maybe he was brought up in a tent. I don't know. Maybe he's a carny and I had no idea. Shout out to all those carnival folk that watch Starcraft 2. Cloak Banshee heading for some harassment. Of course, we did see the Spore Crawler earlier from Denver. There's even an Overseer here. Double detection. He's detected so hard. That thing's not going to get in there and do any damage. At least not for now. Once again, the Link's deflected. Ooh, that's a hurt Banshee. She's only got 5 hit points. A stiff breeze will kill that thing. Got the Overseer here of Denver coming in for its first look at exactly what Sol is up to. And he sees the second barracks, and that's going to be a good tell to know that he's up against Bioplay. Denver, of course, has Spire play in mind. Ling Bane Muta has really hit the meta again. It used to be all about the Ling Bane Hydra, but tell you what, that Spire is back in black. It's great. I love that Spire play. One of the most exciting things about this matchup is the fast and furious nature of Bio Tank or Bio Mine versus Ling Bane Muta. It's such an intense but also action-packed and quite explosive, literally, style of play. Nice usage, by the way, of that Banshee to get high ground vision on that Overseer so the Marines could finish it off. You can see that these Marines do need medevacs. A couple more on the way here for Sol. Denver's starting to get really tasty creep spread at the moment. I'm just going to follow these Lings around to talk about that creep trimmers are looking very strong in the middle path and also to the southwestern path here of the map. If you look at the mini-map, you can see that because of the early harassment or the early attacks there of Sol, there is a bit of a lack of creep at the 4th base, or I guess the 5th hatchery to the very 12 o'clock position here of King's Cove. This is the one I'm talking about here. So this creep isn't as far along as he'd like over here, but the middle is where most of the pushes will happen, and this is looking very, very nice. And this area also very deadly. A lot of attacks, shift-clicked Hellion run-bys, drop ships, that sort of thing, or medevac's going to go head down that path. So it's very, very important to have as much vision as possible, and even if he hugs the edge of the map, Denver has got wonderful Overlord positioning here. A lot of the reasons Zerg will die in the lower leagues is because they don't have vision of the attack before it comes, and they're not looking at the minimap, so a drop will hit their 4th or their 3rd, and they'll just lose a bunch of drones or some queens or whatever, some static defense to a bunch of stim Marines. Just a 16 Marine stim drop is really, really common when you go for this style, just loading up 16 Marines to a couple of medevacs, and then doing a ton of damage against the Zerg. But if you got the good minimap awareness and good Overlord spread, which Denver absolutely has, then you can really shut down those drops. Ulisks managed to keep themselves alive, pulling back to the high ground away from the Marines. A lot of Lings here for Denver, and he's got 1-1 upgrades on those bad boys. 1-1 upgrades also likewise for the Terran. This choke point he doesn't really want to engage into. There are Widow Mines here as well to make things a little bit rough for the Zerg if you're overextended. Banshee from earlier. It's like she's been broken away from the control group and off to try and find some harassment damage. You really don't want to leave the Zerg alone too long. Unfortunately, Denver's already got quite a bit of creep spread. Very good number of active creep trimmers out there on the map. Soul's been very pinned back since the early stages of the game, honestly. So this Banshee is his first presence on the map since the Hellbat attack earlier. Got to be careful. The Spore Crawler... Oh, never mind. Overseer comes on in to finish that thing off, and as we saw a little bit earlier when the Marines were chasing that Overlord, and the Lings pushed him all the way back, Soul is up against Overlord's speed, which Denver researched. So while it is a 100 mineral and 100 gas upgrade, and a lot of Zergs will skip it late these days, Overlord speed I think is a really, really good upgrade. Especially against, the modern Terran who, when they're up against Ling, Bane, Muta, they will get Drilling Claws on a second factory with the Tech Lab. See, the main factory here has got a reactor on it still pumping out those Winter Mines. But Drilling Claws is such a fantastic upgrade. There was a patch, I think a couple patches ago, where the Winter Mine now, when it burrows with Drilling Claws upgrades, remains cloaked after it fired. So just like the old school Winter Mine. So Zergs have been trying to get Overlord speed again, making sure they have Overseers with their army, because if you don't, then you're going to be in for a bad time. Small contingency of bio there, caught and corded. Nice load up there from Soul, but unfortunately gets picked off by the Mutalisks there of Denver. Ooh, eats a mine shot. But that doesn't mean anything for these Mutalisks. They regenerate so quickly. The Mutas regenerate their hit points so very fast. So they will pull back and lick their wounds. We've got Adrenal, a lot of tier 3 stuff coming down for the Zerg. In fact, 3-3 starting for the Zerg. Way earlier than 3-3 for the Terran, and that is actually a pretty uncommon thing. Normally the Terran is ahead on upgrades and going for 3-3 at this point. But Soul has been... he has to get Thors, he has to get some expensive things out now. See, that the main thing that's stopping him from getting +3 armor, at least back when I was talking about the upgrades, is his gas count. At the moment, he can certainly afford it, but he's not thinking about it right now. There it is. The +3 attack just gets... +3 armor, rather, comes down there. So it's not really married up, but he is behind on 3-3 upgrades against the Zerg, which is, again, uncommon. Normally, the Terran is the one that is ahead on upgrades. Mutas come on in. There's a Winter Mine here with this ball of bio, but it's just sort of on a move along with the Marines and Marauders there. Thor repositions towards that natural to try and make it a little bit more covered against the Mutalisk harassment there of Denver. We've got a switch in Ultras here. We've got 6 Ultras on the way here for Denver. It's a very, very beastly unit. Thankfully, Soul has already been producing Marauders, at least foreseeing this, or seemingly foreseeing this. Thors are also surprisingly okay against Ultras. But they don't really have too many upgrades. They only have +1 armor. See that there looks to be just the one armory spinning here for Soul, giving him those armor upgrades, which is more important, I guess, as it helps out not only the Thor, but also the air units as well. So the Medevacs and the Liberators will also benefit from that if he wants to go down the Liberator path. Looks like he might be going down the Ghost path here. Ghost Academy goes down. But Liberators as well, he can afford that. So we've got that good Fusion Core for Advanced Ballistics, Liberator range. So the Mutalisks posturing on the edge of that creep there, waiting for the Terran to get a little bit further in so they can potentially go out for a counterattack or even try and engage the Terran directly when they're too deep on creep. We've got a ball of units on the left side here for Denver and a ball of Muta on the right-hand side, and he's done a very good job at splitting his units up, so if the Terran comes in any particular location, he has an army waiting, and this one in the middle is very deadly. A lot of Banelings there. Ultras as well getting their Anabolic Synthesis speed upgrade. Ooh, Denver is also getting Pathogen Glands. Now, this is an upgrade that's been overlooked by a lot of Zergs lately. Going to be seeing some Infestor play here out of French Zerg. I like it. Himself some static defense. Finds himself a nice little Nokia to get some SCV damage done on that 4th base, that planetary. And it looks like the Winter Mines are going to connect there with those Mutas. The Mutants are very softened up, and now, once again, as long as they survive, they will regenerate, as long as Denver doesn't overcommit. Finds a stray Marine or 2 or 3, maybe even a Medevac. Very nice pickoffs here for Denver. He's doing very well with these Mutalisks. Meanwhile, we do have a drop from Soul on the natural. Those are Ultras, so he needs to load up and get the hell out of there. You don't want to have Marines against Ultras. Ooh, this Medevac's actually in trouble. Now, the Mutas are obviously out on the map. They're down here harassing. Ooh, a couple of Mutas might have died just then. So the Medevac actually will escape for now. So we got to switch into Ghosts here for Soul, and when Terran is starting to make Ghosts and get Advanced Ballistics, that means the Terran is going to sit there and slow the game way down. They want to go into the late game and play Spellcaster versus Spellcaster. Ghosts versus Infestor. Ultras, probably Broodlords. I mean, we're seeing +3 attack here on the Spire, and, I mean, why not? When you start to amass a big bank of Zerg, why not get every tech option so you can switch your composition around depending on what you see? It's always going to be better to have as much tech to play with as possible. What if he's up against a huge number of tanks or, you know, a huge number of Ghosts and he doesn't actually have Broodlords out, which would be a lot more effective than potentially this Ground Army here. Ground Army is pretty strong, though. A couple more Ghost Academies going down. That means nukes. We already have one on there, one on the way there. It's a run on the raid there. Going full Scooby-Doo for a second. Nice Widowmine there, actually getting those Banelings. Nearly snaps down an Ultra, but not quite. We also have a couple of Lings running into that natural Ghost and a couple landed Vikings, making sure that they can get rid of them. Denver on the other side of the map is starting to actually get some Corruptors out. Going to help him out against the Liberators that he's expecting here from Sol. Sol still hasn't really made any Liberators just yet. He's made some Vikings. There we go. Liberator number 1 is on the way here. Muta's continuing to try and be effective, but of course the age of the Muta is done and the age of the Corruptor has begun. I haven't seen any more Mutalisks being in the production tab here for Denver. He's just had this flock of Mutas, which have honestly done a lot for him. They found harassment damage, they picked up units here and there, they killed SCVs, they've killed, I think you know, Medivacs, of course, is another one. Great catch there from Denver. It's still just being active and harassing with them. We've got a small force here of Marauders. This just looks like a creep clearing force from Sol. He's got one on the right and he's got one on the left as well. Well, this one hasn't been looked at for now. There we go, he just scans and starts to clear up some of that creep. So Ultras on the north hugging out those Marauders, and the ones on the south are also pushing these ones back. Both players with 3-3 on the main parts of their army. So the Bio's got 3-3. The ground army of Denver, the melee army, the Ultras, and the Lings and the Banes have all got 3-3. We have those Infestors on the way, plus 3 attack for the Spy units is also nearly done. Now, that does actually, with melee, stack with Broodlord Broodlings, so that actually does help out the Broodlords to have those upgrades, and we are seeing that Greater Spy come down. And why not? Like I said, better to have... When you have a big bank like this, like Denver has, where you have like nearly 3k of gas in the bank, 7k minerals in the bank, why not? Get all your tech options and you can switch accordingly. We have Liberators heading around to the north side of the map here for a bit of harassment. Meanwhile, Sol pushing forward again with a Marauder creep clearing squad. Calling Ghostbusters over here, getting rid of that ectoplasm. We've got a nuke on this base. Now, does Denver react? It's actually looking a little dicey. I don't think Denver's seen the nuke just yet. He's trying... Oh, he sees the Ghost! He evacuates that base. He's going to lose a lot of lava there. And we had a nuke to the south as well. Looks like this one got cleared up. Is that Liberator? Oh, it sounded like I got there. There it is. Liberator shooting drones at the third base there. Sorry about my observing, guy. I'm not a very good observer. I'm trying to get better at it. Not quite your Rotterdam. The ultimate man when it comes to commentary is the best at commentary and the best at observing as far as us commentators go. I mean, maybe Zombie Grub will have a challenge there, but I'm certainly neither of those things, so I'm just doing my best. I like that Carapace is also being used in the flying units here. A lot of Zergs will forget flying Carapace when they're up against late-game Terran, and then you'll see things like even just a stack of Liberators splash damage them to death. It's pretty common to get ship upgrades for Terran later on, and a bowl of Liberators, if you get like, say, 12 to 15 Liberators, actually do a surprising amount of splash damage on air units. Link's coming down and being very, very annoying here. The Ghost and Marauder force of Sol is pushing it back for now. Got another nuke here to the north. This one doesn't look like it's going to happen, though. Overseers pull one forward. There we go. Denver looked like it was going to nibble on it there. Unfortunately, used some Banelings there, but whatever. I'm nitpicking here. 9 Broodlords being morphed to the north side as well. Another Ghost being sent in for some nuclear harassment. It's weird to say nuclear harassment, because you wouldn't ever have thought that you would harass with a weapon of mass destruction, but I guess in this case, as the Terran, you would. Where are the Overseers at? He's still out of detection range. He's got to pull out here. That's a lot of dead lava. Now, while it doesn't seem like a big deal, when you have a giant bank, if you lose a lot of lava, that's going to be a bad time, because part of the power of Zerg is not just having a bank, it's having all this lava to remake your army with. Now, there's a lot of injects and time for that hatchery to be able to get that amount of lava. You only have 3 hatchery maximum here, 3 lava per hatchery maximum, unless a queen is injecting it. So that is potentially a factor here in this game, but certainly worth bringing up for all you guys out there that potentially aren't high-level players or maybe are newer to the game and are just looking for cool replays and cool casts. I don't know. He's going for a run by. They get softened up pretty hard there by that planetary. Goes to fire and clean this up, no problem. There's also another planetary to finish the job. Another nuke on the left side of the map. Once again, tons of lava here for Denver. Once again, the Queens aren't injecting that hatchery. But once again, he does catch the Ghost. So while some nukes have been slipping through the defensive net of Denver, it's worth it for Sol. I mean, he doesn't really... That said, though, now that I say that, he doesn't have a ton of gas in the bank just yet. Terran normally has a little bit of an issue with gas in the later stage of the game, and then they have too much, but these infested Terrans getting dropped here. Ghosts also getting fungal, which means they can't really cloak if they get detected. See, the infested Terrans actually have an incredible anti-air. I like this positioning for the Ghost in King's Cove. Denver's remaking the static defense, but Sol can actually nuke from the high ground. Nope, just actually ship clicking around. Thought he was gonna high ground nuke there. There we go. Wants the low ground nuke. He's like, hey, I want you to see it coming, Denver. I want you to know. I want you to look into my eyes when this nuke hits you. So the main battle is over here as the nuke harassment continues. More and more damage being done here by these nuclear missiles, these weapons of mass destruction. But like I said, when the Terran starts amassing ghosts, getting several ghost academies, fusion core, that means they want to slow it way down. It means they want to go to the late game. It's actually where they want to go. And I'm not surprised that Sol is wanting to get to this stage of the game, as he is a pretty huge master of this sort of style. EMP goes down there before the ghost dies, but it does die. Another nuke up here. This time Denver does not pull drones. Loses a lot of them there to that nuke. We got another one in the middle as well. So as we can see, maximum 3 lava there on that hatchery. Another nuke forward here by Sol. Forces Denver to unburrow and push back his static defense. Ooh, another good cluster of drones going down there. So we haven't had a whole lot of drone harassment in this game, apart from nukes and liberators. Let's have a look at how much drone damage has been done. So 46 drones have died. Denver's been knocked down to 53 drones, but it feels like the damage, I guess, has been done. In the sense that the Zerg already has a very lovely bank. More lava going to die here. Not that much. Nice usage of late game liberators here with advanced ballistics. Denver trying to find a home for these drones. Gets denied. Really nice harassment. It's even denying this mineral line and also forcing drones to just not be mining. EMP's going down on a lot of these infestors. One ghost loses its life. Big mass snipes here. And the power of fungal is that it does interrupt the snipe ability. If you manage to get the fungal on the ghosts while they're in snipe, it interrupts the ability. So that's one of the greatest things about the infestors against this sort of style. Once again, Sol wants Denver to look into his eyes and know that it's coming. He wants to know who hurt him. Nuke nearly lands, but not quite. Ghost getting denied. Ultra run by here towards the natural. You can see that they got that wind behind them, the whoosh of the anabolic synthesis coming forward. Defensive snipes from Sol, softening up these ultras a little bit. They're kind of stuck on a choke point here. Sol moves forward with a bunch of marauders and ghosts, kills a hatchery, knocking Denver down to 6 bases. These ultras do get deflected from that run by. It's so tough to run by when Terran has a choke point like this. There's multiple planetaries. They've got a planetary blocking off this ramp here. So very, very hard for the Zerg to get any run-bys, especially with the chonkers like the Ultras, the big chunky boys, thick with 2 Cs. They find it tough to fit into those tight, hard-to-reach places, but Fire doesn't have too much of a problem. Ooh, the Ultras actually bully on into this planetary here. They're going to get it too. Wow. A couple Ultras did die in the making of that run-by, but they do kill a base. Thankfully, Sol has another base that he prepared earlier to put on location here, just like a cooking show. Planetary got a bunch of 3/3 adrenal lings getting on top of it, and that's a tough one to actually keep alive. Surprising amount of damage to these lings. Not really that many SCVs to repair, but the planetary does do splash damage. It does get rid of these lings for the most part. A small contingency here of bio from Sol on that creep, so Denver knows about it. And Mule's helping him defend and repair up that planetary. The great thing about Sol is that he's keeping this Liberator presence alive, so he's consistently late-game harassing the Zerg, which a lot of lower-level Terrans won't be thinking about at this point in the game. They'll be thinking about amassing their forces and trying to move out in one big blob. But Sol is he's a professional. He's a very, very good player, and he has been playing the late game very, very nicely here. And we do have a Liberator trying to find a nice siege spot, but Denver, likewise, a very, very good player. He's preordained this by getting a Spore Crawler in position where those Liberators like to go. Also, the added benefit of stopping ghosts from potentially running by there into the somewhere juicy where they could get a drone line wipe out from a nuke. And Sol is continuing to invest in those nukes. And now when you have like a 4,000 gas bank as a Terran, you feel just fine about getting nothing but nukes. And using those nukes to be your presence on this side of the map. Another nuke here towards the third base. Like I said, things like the Spore Crawler do help out with that. Although this Sol Ghost managed to run past that detection, get into the main base, and nuke from the high ground. Once more dead lava, a few dead drones. Gets rid of the extractors as well, but they're empty anyway. And then he turns and fires on the main base. The Hive is here. Spore Crawlers, couple high energy queens, a lot of lava again. And Sol is just continuing to also find Liberator harassment here. This advanced ballistics Liberator's doing pretty sick damage against the Zerg. Just keeps turning and firing here with these nukes. The Greater Spire and the Ultra Cabinet here. There's another Spire here in the main base, but the Greater Spire is down here. This time... Ooh, that was close. You got to be careful about where those Broodlords go there, Denver. Don't want to lose those to a nuke. 3/3 Ghost doing a surprising amount of damage. Thor also here as well, and it's single target anti-Broodlord damage mode, and it's also anti-corruptor, and anti-overseer apparently. Now Sol has eliminated a hatchery from this place earlier, and he is expanding over the carcass of Denver here, seeing that there is quite a bit of gas still left, and a good chunk of minerals also available, so that's good stuff. Gas, very, very important. Denver is just consistently having to deal with these nukes, which is very, very frustrating stuff. Very, very hard, unless you're a high-level Zerg with a lot of minimap awareness to be able to deal with this. But, again, he shuts it down. Denver really impressive with his nuke defense. Even though he's had to eat a few nukes in this game, he has relatively been well on the nuke defense as well. This is really getting split map stages at this point. Does this creep trimmer actually block a hatchery from expanding here? I think it might. I think these creep trimmers actually kind of block Denver from having a potential another base. There's also this base to the north, but there's been nothing but ghosts up here. This Liberator making sure that this hatchery doesn't happen. I like that Sol's been using these Marauders to push back creep. Think about the early stages of this game. I would rewind if I was streaming this game, but just cast your mind back or use rewind and come back to this point of the replay and remember how much creep spread there was for the Zerg. While the nukes haven't been, you know, getting big juicy nukes on armies and drone lines, or a few of them have been hitting drone lines, they've been also, the added benefit of these nukes is that it's been clearing out a lot of creep. Ooh, that one. Alright, that nuke would have been really juicy, but the ghost gets killed. Fungle's going down. A couple snipes of those infestors. Now, EMP's a little bit better on infestors. While snipe does kill the infestor, the danger is in their spells, and the EP is as close to instant as you can get. A snipe can be interrupted by infestor fungal, as I mentioned earlier. Infestor Terran's coming down, along with some fungals here on these Vikings. This actually could thin out the air army of Sol a fair bit. Never mind, the Bio comes in to defend. The air army does, eat a lot of fungals there. 4 Vikings on 1 hit point. Another nuke to the north side here for Sol, just continuing to push the Zerg back. Big counterattack here with the Lings and Ultras. They're all over this area here with just not a whole lot of static defense for the Terran. And tons of Liberators, though. So he is going to kill a few of these Ultras. Does lose another base. What was that nuke from earlier? Looks like it connected over here. Didn't get a whole lot done. Infestors are still alive. Broodlords are still alive. Ghosts getting deflected. Sol just continuing to be a bully here with these ghosts. We're continuing to clear up creep. And doing a very, very good job at creep clearing up. Oh, that one looked like it might have killed a few drones there. Another ghost kill. Sol's being very, very careful about throwing away this many ghosts, though. The ghosts are his late-game lifeline against the Broodlords, the Ultras, and the Infestors. They deal with all 3 of those if they control correctly. One of the most deadly things to a late-game Terran is actually still just a lot of Lings. A ball of ghosts like this, sometimes you'll see late-game Zergs switch into Ling Bane. Just get a good number of Ling Bane and really actually affect the Terran very, very heavily with who's invested pretty much in a pure Ghost Liberator, which is what a lot of late-game Terran armies look like. So you do have to be careful as a Terran not to throw away too many ghosts. Liberators are really coming on strong here for Sol. He's been close to max for pretty much this whole game. This one's a very juicy siege. He's just putting them right on the hatcheries. Denver's Broodlords are the main thing he's trying to keep alive here, and he wants his infestors to amass a lot more energy. This nuke actually will kill this hatchery, so he needs to get rid of this ghost. There we go. Should be able to get rid of it. He's trying to keep tabs of these nukes here. It's a little bit tough. We've got one here. That's going to get rid of a couple creep tumors, some spine crawlers as well. Non-stop nukes from Sol. The one to the left, one to the right. It looks like he's trying to get a Jabate army nuke here. That one not really doing too much. This one is going to kill a fair bit of domestic defense. Nearly kills an infestor, but not quite. A lot of weapons of mass destruction raining from above here on Denver. This entire middle of the map feels very, very radioactive. Glad I'm not anywhere near it. More and more nuke harassment. It's getting super, super late game here. We're at the 28-minute mark. It's good stuff. Double Liberator with advanced ballistics continuing to be annoying. There's no drones mining here, but maybe you can get some of those gas drones. I don't know. Corruptors are already in position, so those Liberators shouldn't be too much of a problem here for Denver. Another hatchery taking a beating here from these nukes. If you have enough minerals and gas in the bank, you can actually just chain down hatcheries. Sol is actually just killing static defense with these ghosts, and also potentially killing hatcheries as well. This one takes another nuke to kill. This one's very low. So, yeah. Oh, this command center. Where are you going, mates? I mean, I guess it intended to try and expand over here, but there's a bit more creep than he intended. So maybe Saul will start dealing with some creep spread down there. This queen really wanted to be useful, but she unfortunately gets annihilated by a bunch of liberators. Let's have a look at the armies for both players now that we're pretty much at the max mark for both players. Saul not quite max, Denver close enough. Both players in like the mid-50s drone count. A lot of air arming here for the Zerg. A lot of infestors as well. Oh, some nice snipes there, making sure that the ultras... There were 2 ultras there, now there is 0. Fungals getting covered on his ghost. CMP's hitting a few of those units as well. Stops a very incredible nuke. If that one landed, that would have been lights out for Denver. Saul would have just pushed with the rest of his army and probably won the game right there. But that's the thing. That's what's stressful about Zerg for Zerg in the situation, is that the nukes are something you have to worry about the whole game now. And if one nuke lands in your army, or even if you lose a good chunk of infestors, the Broodlords on their own are not that scary. Keep in mind that while he does have Corruptors, the main anti-Viking defense he has is these infested Terrans. Now, these Vikings go a little deep, and they are going to pay the price here. Vikings do go down. Big engagement. Those snipes heading the Broodlord army, and the EMPs are all over these infestors. The infestors have no energy anymore. The Broodlords are finding a bit of purchase for those Broodlings. Nuke to the north here from that Ghost. Some drones, bit of damage from that hatchery, bit more lava. Ling run by here from Denver. It's going to catch that planetary that Saul put here. Down it goes. There's not a whole lot of resources left for this planetary, but this Ling run by is very annoying for Saul to have to deal with. He's trying to make a win happen here. The Corruptors push back these Liberators. Getting Liberators is also a big part of the win here for the Zerg. Loving these run-bys is something that a lot of lower-level Zergs won't be thinking about. Breaks through that depot. There's plenty of ghosts, so maybe he can fight it back. But the Broodlords and the Corruptors are starting to push back the static defense of Saul that he's been working on all game. And he's going to finish off that hatchery with a Ghost. There we go. So, while Denver has been knocked down to 4 bases, and he's barely mining off of one of them, this is a situation where the Zerg might actually, with his army, if he controls it well and picks a great fight, be able to push the Terran back. So the Zerg does have a bit more army supply here, and with the Infestor energy, if he manages to get a bit more of that up, I can actually see the dream being alive here for Denver. He is hurting a lot economically. He does still have a lot of the bank, and while it might seem like a lol kick XD moment to be talking about his economy sucking when he has this much in the bank, keep in mind that it does disappear further, faster than you think. Another EMP there from the Ghost, getting a few of those Infestors, but most of them still do have Fungals. Oh, these snipes are very nice. Getting a couple of Broodlords there for free. Very good. Just a random Marine on the right-hand side of the map, picking up an Overlord, and surprisingly enough, actually supply blocking Denver. And I love what Denver's doing right now. He has a lot of money in the bank, as far as minerals goes, and just making a ton of Speedlings. What do I say about Speedlings? They're very, very good in the late game. If the Terran has a ton of Ghosts, they're still viable against Bio as well. Run-bys, of course. We saw Denver kill a base with a Zergling run-by, and they're inexpensive compared to the Broodlords and the Corruptors he's making a lot of the game. These Banelings are in a little bit of trouble here as the Bio's starting to get on top of them, but in come the Speedlings to keep them away. And it's so weird. This happens like late-game TDZ sometimes, where everyone's at this Tier 3 super ultra late-game tech, and then it switches back into Bio-Ling. Bio-Ling Bane. Because the Bio is good against Ling Bane, and Ling Bane is good against the late-game stuff. More nukes being replenished here for Saul. It has been a while since we've seen a nuke land. It felt like I was starting to... I had my eyes glued on that minimap for a while there because there were just so many nukes going down. It has given me a little bit of a breather. Thank you, Saul. Denver replenishing this creep spread and also the Spore Crawler forest that he had earlier. A fair bit of this creep's actually going to start receding, so these Spore Crawlers are actually going to start taking some damage once the creep gets taken away from underneath them. Nukes also coming forward from Saul. As I mentioned, nukes, he starts to give me a couple more. And one up here to the north, which looks like it's been dealt with. This one here, not so much. Ooh, spores. Pull back, but they are going to take a little bit of damage here. This base from Saul seems extremely important. It looks like a big Speedling counterattack would actually be really, really nice over here. As a lot of Saul's army is actually in the middle of the map. And on the right-hand side. This is the big, the ghost cluster that the Zerg really wants to catch and kill. Another bit of liberated damage there. Unfortunately, this is a ladder game, not a tournament game, so it wasn't a game custom made with the what do you call it, the game heart overlay. Oh, really nice target fire there on those infestors, getting a few of those infestors. Losing all this fire though would certainly suck for Saul, but it's going to get fungled and burned down here by the infestors. Fungals and infested Terrans, making sure they all go away. Ghost Army of Soul still safe and amassing energy on the right-hand side. One of them's gone forward to get another nuke off here on the Zerg. Uh-oh. Careful, Denver. Careful. Careful, mate. Nuke still lands. Ghost dies, but when the circle becomes like a solid circle, it means the nuke still lands. And this is a good bit of static defense to get rid of as well. Denver probably frantically hitting those camera hotkeys looking for this nuke, but not going to see it. 4 dead spine crawlers and a creep tumor, and a partridge in a pear tree. 5 nukes at once now, and I'm managing to see that Denver's primarily using his gas at the moment on infestors, getting some corruptors as well, but he is making a lot of speedlings, which I'm pleased to see. Liberators and Ghosts trying to hold this line here, with Planetary being incredibly important for Soul. Both these planetaries are incredibly important. The one on the map, on the left side of the map, I guess less so at this point. Less so, because this one has more resources on it. The one on the left looks a little drier. These refineries, yeah, there's less than 1,000 gas in each of those refineries. Quite a bit less minerals as well. More nukes here from the Polish Terran, still keeping Denver on his toes. And this nuke on the right is going to land, killing a few drones. A lot of static defense as well. Very nicely done. This Ghost denied its nuke. That one does clear up some creep, but he just keeps replenishing these nukes. This is something we saw, you know, one of the famous games from WSG was the Maru Scarlet game, where it was just nukes upon nukes upon nukes. Broodling's not going to get through that. And that nuke actually finished off the hatchery to the top right. So yes, the Ghost dies, but keep in mind that Denver's income is not great at the moment. We're seeing the big income difference here in the bottom of the map, with Terran having almost double the mineral income and almost double the gas income. So very, very good economic situation for the Terran. And the Zerg is still looking okay on that bank. Hasn't really been losing too much of these high gas units. Has mainly been losing minerals, which for the Zerg is mostly okay, as the mineral bank was really what the Zerg had a lot of. But it was, you know, close to 9k, and now it's 6k. So everything matters in this game that's this close. Marauders and Marines coming on forward here to try and bait the Zerg into an engagement they perhaps doesn't want to do. Nuke comes over here to the right, doesn't finish off that hatchery. Does catch and kill some of this bio, which is his creep clearing force. Another nuke here on the Spore Crawlers. More static defense of Denver about to die. More creep spread about to die. Oh, that Spore pulls back a little bit late to the party. Another nuke here to make sure that the hatchery does not happen. He's chaining them down. I was going to say iron chaining them down, but he's not on that team anymore. He's on Makers. Snipes in a few of those queens. Why not? Ghost in the high ground denied that nuke here on this base of Denver. And it's just been all quiet on the western front here for Seoul. Just absolutely no counterattacks, nothing like that. This base, though, to be fair, is about to dry up. Speaking of drying up, the Terran is starting to lose a little bit of his bank as well. Is maxed now, so it'll start to get up there again. This base from Denver being retaken very desperately needs it. Look at how little mining there is available for the Zerg and how oversaturated he is here. And this is a sort of a janky base. Not that many mineral patches, only 1 gas. It's better than not having a base, but it's also not great. So all those broodlings to pick off that nuking Ghosts. Another nuke in the middle here for Soul. Another nuke on the far right middle. Far right middle? The middle right. Really nice target fire on these Ghosts for Denver though. This one though, oh my god, he was so oversaturated here. A lot of drones just died. Oh my god, that one was the sickest drone killing nuke there in this game. There were 27 drones here, and now there's 4. Math dictates that he killed 23 drones. That is pretty insane. Once again, without the game heart overlay here of this custom game, we don't get to have the workers killed pop up on the screen, so sorry about that. Not really something you can do with the ladder replayers. Ladder games are not played on game heart, they are played on the ladder. Lots of infestors with plenty of energy here for Denver, and this is a very delicate situation for both players. A big throw, or a big overextension into the other player's army to potentially end the game, but not in their favor. Like, you got to be careful about how this engagement goes, and be patient. Soul has been doing a very good job of being patient and just relying on his nukes to be his presence on the other side of the map, and also, of course, Liberators. Hasn't really been doing any Liberator harassment for a while, but has definitely been making these nukes happen. He's done so many nukes in this game. more dead drones. Denver did make a good round of drones there, so he went from 12 to 27. But you're never going to be happy about a 27 drone economy as a Zerg when you starting to spend that bank. See, the mineral bank was nearly 9,000, was 8,000, was 6,000, is now 4,000, and is very slowly increasing. Let's say 500 hit points in that hatchery. I don't think this nuke kills it. Not just quite enough. 10 hit points left. Denver keeping an eye on these nukes. He knows some nuke hotspots. So where your static defense is, where your spore crawlers are where nukes are going to be very likely going. And also your newer bases. Keep an eye on those when you're a Zerg. You're defending against nukes. Hit your camera hotkeys that take you to where your newer hatcheries are. Because that's where the Terran's going to be nuking, because that's where your resources are coming from. The smart Terrans will be going for the juicy drone lines, for where you actually need to mine from. See, nuking here, or nuking here, or nuking here. I mean, I guess here it would be nice because there's a lot of drones oversaturated. But even nuking here, not the biggest of deals because there's just not that many drones. There's not that much to mine from. A lot of this resources are gone here. Some SCVs being thrown away from Seoul quite deliberately so that you can actually get more army supply. Don't really need 56 workers at this point in the game. He is going to run out of bases to mine from. This is a very split map situation here. This Broodling's just channeling on forward here. Quite a few dead creep tumors. This nuke. And this game is a real testament to late game TVC. What a great matchup. I love this matchup, man. Love this matchup, and late game TVC really is a thing of beauty. Depending on who you ask, some Zerg players think it's unwinnable against Terran, some Terran players think it's unwinnable against Zerg, but it's very much winnable in both cases. In my opinion, anyway. Broodlord's coming forward again to look for that nuking ghosts, but this time the Vikings are here from Seoul. And Denver is forced to give up more ground to the Terran. Every time he does that, the Liberators come forward, he starts more turrets, he pushes the Zerg further and further back. The Terran creep spread is happening right now with these turrets coming forward, the nukes coming forward. The Broodlords want that ghost so badly. They can detect it, they want it. Comes some snipes though. Dead Broodlord does get the ghost, does stop the nuke. Feels like Denver's not too sure on what to do with the rest of his supply cap. He absolutely can still make more things. He hasn't lost his tech, but he's waiting to see what he should do with the rest of his supply. He's not maxing out, and that's got to be deliberate. He's just waiting to see what he needs. Does he need more infestors? Does he need more corruptors? Like, what is he actually up against? Nice yoinks here on these Liberators. Pulls him into Spore Crawler Forest and guns him down. Nuke about to land, though, from Terran. Spore Crawlers have to give up more space. One Marauder being very annoying on the top right of the map, stopping Denver's ability to take this base. In fact, it's looking like it's starting to set up to be a Soul base. It's got a CC floating on over there. Now, Denver doesn't want to let that happen. You don't want the Terran to be up 3 bases on you. Denver is really slowly bleeding out here against Soul. What a late game TVC master this kid is. Oops, some dead SCVs. Some damaged Marauders, but whatever. Like I said, you don't really need 50 or even 40 odd SCVs at this point in the game. You mainly want to be mining gas, using mules to get your mineral income, and then throwing away SCVs to be able to get more army supplies. The Terran, you're pretty safe to max out at this point. Just using nukes to kill these own SCVs. I mean, there's more efficient ways to do that, but no, I'm just kidding. So this base actually did land, it did happen, and it is going to be a planetary Covenant turrets, and that is a bad situation for the Zerg. The Zerg fought so hard over this base, and you can see why. There's a lot of minerals here, and there's over 1,500 gas inside each of those geysers. Really, really important base for both players in this game. See the left side that we talked about earlier, the gas is gone, minerals are also nearly gone. This base, likewise, gas is gone, minerals are nearly gone. Snipes going forward. Nukes also here on these Spore Crawlers and the Creep Tumors. It feels like Denver's just getting bled out slowly here. It's death by 1,000 cuts, and I wonder if there's... I mean, there is a way for him to come back. All of these infestors are full of energy. If they don't get EMP'd, and he gets a huge amount of fungals and a huge amount of infested Terrans down, I could actually see the Zerg taking an amazing fight. But he needs Soul to mess up. And Soul has not really messed up in 44 minutes straight. So that's a tough ask. Broodlord's making sure that this base is not an easy win for the Terran. Pushing it further and further back. Another nuke lands here on the edge of that creep. The planetary does get taken down. Nicely done by Denver. cutting off some of the supplies of the Terran. Look at that difference in mineral income at the bottom of the screen here. The Terran has like 1,000 minerals per minute over the Zerg as far as mineral income goes. And double the gas income as well. Pretty sick stuff. What a late game here. Ghost caught and quartered there by those Lings and those Overseers. But they pulled back to creep. There's not been any counterattacks from the Zerg, but I mean, what are you going to counterattack? You're going to counterattack some planetaries that aren't being mined from. You could potentially, I guess, nidus the production if you really wanted to, but is that worth it? What you really want as a Zerg here is to try and get a good fungal on the Terran army. Oh no. Careful. Target fires that Ghost, takes it down again before the nukes, is always dancing with the devil over here. Small ball of bio coming in through the middle of the map again on a creep clearing mission. Those Lings getting annihilated by them. Best Terrans coming forward to try and get rid of some of these Liberators. They don't get a whole lot done. The bio also cuts through the Lings, is now on top of the Corruptors. This looked like a small annoyance here for Denver that's actually become a little bit more important for him. Is the Lings are getting taken out, and these Lings are important in dealing with Ghosts and just, you know, if the upcoming battle comes down, if they actually throw down in an actual fight, Lings are going to be pretty important for interrupting snipes. Mainly interrupting snipes and offering some DPS and a bit of a meat shield for the Zerg army. This hatchery gets gunned down. It's one of the very few mining bases here for Denver. In fact, it might be the only mining base, as he's long distance mining over here and isn't mining from this base at all anymore because it's Terran base now. Snipes the Broodlords, a couple of them die there. Doesn't get his nuke down, but that won't stop him from trying. Zerg is down to 4 whole drones now, and they are long distance mining. And this is just the song and dance that it's been for the past 15 or so minutes, it feels. The Spore Crawler's pushing the Terran back, and the Terran pushing the Spores back. Liberator's on siege, a little bit too late there. He loses one, but again, Soul has so much in the bank to continue to play here. Continue to be annoying. Now, Denver actually could lose some units and still replenish as well. He could get a good number of Infestors back. Ooh, the nuke actually nearly kills the Spore Crawler. Queen's Corpse gets pushed over to the right-hand side. But this is old Terran. Look at this minimap. Remember how much creep spread there was? Now look at the Terran creep spreading here. This is Terran creep spread. Never thought I'd see the day. He's trying to fungal for that Ghost. Didn't quite get it. Maybe the Vikings as well. Didn't quite get them either. More creep spread dying here. That was a lot of creep tumors from the Zerg. He's trying to put Spore Crawlers forward, but that creep is going to recede soon. And some of these really damaged Spore Crawlers are just going to die. And slowly bleed out. It'll be really sad. Keeping an eye over here is where a lot of the action's been. Soul's got some units left, and so they're just SCVs. Trying to throw some supply away. Denver is trying to make more creep tumors happen here. Soul gets very, very deep there with this Ghost. This is a very bold nuke. That's not going to happen. Overextending a little bit there. Liberator's getting rid of those Broodlings. The Bioforce is back. There used to be a Zerg base here, it's gone. There used to be creep spread here, it's gone. Broodlords attacking the Planetary on the top right again. There is a big ball of Vikings here, and with this cliff face here, it's very, very tough for the Infestors to actually engage this and get the Fungals on the Vikings like he wants. So really nice terrain for Terran. Having this high ground advantage over the Zerg's Infestors is really, really nice, and these Liberators make sure that if he does want to come this way, he's going to have hell to pay. Those Infestors can't come up here and fungal those Vikings. The Terran will remove them from the game. Speaking of which, Steven on forward trying to catch a couple of Infestors. He does get a couple of Infestors. Denver can replenish, but only so much. See, at the bottom of the map right now, in that overlay, there is no more income for the Zerg. Big fungal on the Vikings. Infested Terrans coming down. They're going to start shooting up and doing insane splash damage here, or insane anti-air damage against the Viking and Liberator force here of Soul. And now that the Vikings are gone, the Broodlords just became a lot more powerful. Ghosts do pull back their turrets to safety, and it looks like Soul's just going to have to give up this base. Denver finding a little bit of damage here. Now, he is broke. So these 9 Corruptors and this one Infestor has bankrupted him. Look, he cancelled one of them to get a bit more money back, but he is banked. He is bankrupt here. Bankrupt. The Terran has a lot of money in the bank, or relative to the Zerg at the moment, and isn't really mining either. But Soul is happy with the army he's got right now. It's remaking those Vikings. Wants the Vikings to be back. Wants to use rest supply on getting an air army up. Lifts that command center. Are there any corruptors for the Zerg? There are some corruptors, so you could maybe chase that command center down, but you gotta be careful of the snipes. A big loss of units at this point in the game, like, if both players have got a ton of resources and you lose, say, 2 or 3 corruptors, that's not a big deal. But at this point in the game, losing 1, 2 or 3 corruptors is actually a big deal. Also, Sol only has 500 gas in the bank right now. And, ooh, blocks it with his own hatchery there. There's a real battle over the top right base here at the moment. And each of these Liberators, the Liberators that he's been losing to these Spore Crawlers, are 150 gas. So there's only the ability to make, say, 2 more Liberators here for Sol. Or 2 more Ghosts with this gas. Both players are stone broke. And it looks like whatever's... I thought Sol had a bit more of a tank than this, but I guess those Vikings really sucked it out of him. And that means that this is going to come down to whatever's on the field here. Sol comes in for the big fight. It's happening! Big snipes all over the Broodlords. The Corruptors are coming on forward. These Ghosts, now that the Infestor energy is gone, he doesn't have an answer for them. The Leagues are coming on in for a bit of surround these Ghosts. They're trying their best. The BM Mules here from Sol. The get out of my game Mules on Denver. And Denver has to tap out. And it's been all Sol, it feels like, for the last 20 minutes. And he seals the deal there. Getting a nice late game TVZ win over Denver, the French Zerg from Infinity Gaming. I have been Maynard. Hope you guys enjoyed this cast. I had a blast doing it. See you guys in the next one, I hope.